We all know the story of Sonic coming onto the gaming scene in 1991 as a rival to Nintendo's plumber monopoly, and how the Blue Blur actually surpassed his overall rival for a short time before taking that detrimental dive into the third dimension. But the story of Sonic the Hedgehog actually starts far earlier than Sonic's first game. In the era of 16-bit consoles, two men were tasked with the impossible quest of creating a new Sega mascot that could rival Mario. Those two men were Naoto Oshima and Hirokazu Yasuhara. Also, hello, I am Grant of Treesicle. Welcome to Sonic's origins. I'm about to lay that story on you, so let's do it. Back in the 1980s, Sega actually had its own stable mascot character, Alex Kidd, who starred in 6 games between 1986 and 1990. During this time, Alex was regarded as the de facto mascot of Sega. But Alex never took off with the same flair that Mario did. It's not super hard to see why. He kind of looks like a cross between a Star Trek red shirt and Pajama Sam. He's the kind of kid that would only be cool at a 5-year-old sleepover. Alex Kidd was a product of the time. A fairly boring character fit the era where Sega believed that characters were essentially disposable. You can use one for a few games and move on to the next one. Alex's games were also nothing to write home about, being mediocre at best. The idea of creating an identity around a video game character, centering a franchise around one, didn't really begin until Mario broke through for Nintendo. But with the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis in competition with Nintendo, Sega needed someone, or something like Mario, that could be the symbol of Sega for people to rally around and root for. Think about a mascot for a sports team. No matter how badly the team is doing, the mascot will still rally the people, and the people will always rally around the mascot. For instance, Ryan is a huge Chargers fan, or at least he was before they moved to LA. This is all football stuff, but he was really into the whatever the Charger thing is. Mascots work! And with this shift in opinion on what a video game character and company mascot needed to be, came Sonic the Hedgehog. You might have wondered why Sonic was created the way he was. Why a hedgehog? I mean, Nintendo characters are, for the most part, human. The main characters besides villains are all human, yet Sega did the exact opposite. Instead of having human protagonists and anthropomorphic animal villains, Sonic's main cast are animals, with Eggman being the evil human. While this may seem like an odd contrast, it's anything but. Sega tested various main characters besides a hedgehog, including an armadillo, porcupine, dog, and an old guy with a mustache, who eventually became Eggman. That's right, Eggman was initially a possible protagonist and essentially a Mario clone. Oshima decided to test these character designs on the general public in America, the main market that Sega wanted to break into. So he booked a trip to New York and carried a bunch of concept art with him, went down to Central Park and interviewed a bunch of random people, and eventually tallied up which characters were the most popular. As you might have guessed, people preferred the hedgehog the most, and the man second most. While trying to explain why, Oshima decided people chose the hedgehog most often because a hedgehog can transcend race, gender, and different types of people. I guess a porcupine can't do that? And so the idea of having a hedgehog mascot was cemented. And Eggman became the villain by coming in second. Odd prize for second place, but hey, it's better than whatever happened to that porcupine. The blue color Sonic flaunts was chosen to match Sega's logo, but after a hedgehog was chosen, Sonic's character design was based on 3 words: cool, challenger, and history. I think cool is pretty self-explanatory. Sonic is the essence of a 90s cool kid. He's totally the guy whose parents would let him stay up late and watch R-rated movies while drinking soda with caffeine in it. He's the guy who's good at sports on the playground and had a girlfriend in 5th grade, even though at that age no one understands the complexities of love or even a crush. Sonic was the coolest cool to any 90s video game player. In terms of a challenger, this related both to Sonic taking on Mario and Sega taking on the juggernaut of Nintendo. They wanted to make it seem like an underdog story of a cool character, rising from nothing but his charisma and skill to take the top spot as the best video game character hopefully ever. It's someone people could stand behind, root for, and dissociate themselves with. They wanted to go for more of a personal touch than Nintendo's blank slate that is Mario. While a blank slate character lets you project yourself onto the character, like Mario or Link, a character with a personality you can associate with and believe in creates a stronger connection to that character. And there's easy ways to show that stronger connection. Just for example, if I could have dinner with either Mario or Sonic, I'm taking Sonic to a chili dog place, no question. He's more compelling because he has an actual personality and characteristics. As for history, well, this is where it gets really interesting. Sega wanted a character with a deep history, much like Mickey Mouse or a Marvel character. Someone with a backstory, unlike Mario, who essentially had none upon his debut. And to this day, his backstory is really only fleshed out through video games like Yoshi's Island. But Sega wanted more than that. They wanted a character who had a cool origin story, how the character itself came to be. Oshima's perception of Western coolness heavily influenced the backstory he created. According to the history that Oshima made up, there used to be a pilot in the 1940s who earned the nickname Hedgehog because he liked to fly super fast. And when he flew, his hair would spike up into spikes. And, well, you could imagine that Sonic the Hedgehog came from this guy, even though he's not really. The nose art on his plane was even a hedgehog, and then he later married a woman who wrote a children's book and created a hedgehog character based off of her husband, and this book was the inspiration for Sonic the Hedgehog. But of course, none of this is true. Not a word. But in a time when movies like Top Gun were huge hits in America, it's not surprising that this was the type of backstory given to Sonic's inception. I mean, if there's a pilot named Goose, why can't there be a hedgehog? It fit the time extremely well, and to this day, it is still a much better origin story than any Nintendo character. The original Sonic design and plotline also focused heavily on this nature versus industry theme, something that's only grown larger over the last few decades. This theme played into all the ideas they wanted behind Sonic, nature being the underdog to humanity, and a cool challenger coming out of the ether to save the woodland creatures from the evil human industrialist. I dig it. I dig it a lot. It's another point that a younger audience could grasp onto. I remember a huge turn off the lights campaign while I was in elementary school. We were constantly being told that electricity wasn't a limitless resource and was bad for the environment. So when you leave a room, turn off the lights. It was like Dare, but with less Nancy Reagan and more facts. Also, Sega really wanted a character that kids could draw, and Sonic is basically just a hand turkey with spikes. Hey Ryan, draw me a hand turkey! Sonic! See? Ultimately, all this effort paid off in droves when the 2-year-old Sega Genesis outsold the brand new SNES in holiday sales. Sonic the Hedgehog was sold as a bundle with the Genesis and played an essential role in the sales numbers. And that is truly how Sonic came to be. We typically only hear about Sonic from his debut onwards, but I found the information prior to his release exceptionally interesting. If you also felt that way and want to learn more, I will leave a link in the description for a panel that Oshima and Yasuhara did, where most of this information actually came from. They did the panel at GDC 2018, and it was some pretty interesting stuff. Enjoy, and that is all I've got for today. If you want to see more gaming content like this, you know what to do. And that is all I've got for today. I have been Grant of Treesicle. You have a good day. I'll see you next time. Well, you might see Ryan next time. Bye.